Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic out there in Heatland. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I got the radio show off today, so going to riff on some things, but we'll be back on Tuesday. You guys can watch us every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the WQAM YouTube channel, Twitch, and all your other podcast platforms. But so this article going into the weekend, it was a really good article by Steve Ashburner on NBA.com again about Kel'el Ware. And I'm not going to lie, the opening quote on this, pretty goosies. And it comes from an unexpected source. And that is from Bobby Portis. And it was interesting because he had said this after the Bucks played the Heat. And Bobby Portis is from Arkansas. He's from he's from the same state as Kel'el Ware is. He's from Little Rock. Kel'el's from North Little Rock. And so I guess he had heard of Kel'el Ware for many a years. But the opening thing of this was really, really cool. He said, quote, I heard about him when he was in 6th grade. He had a lot of raw talent, but at first his biggest thing was he didn't have the motor and he really didn't play hard. Which is, of course, you know, the big MO on a lot of this stuff is like, what's the, what is the work ethic going to be like? What is the motor going to be like? It's been something that followed him, really felt like really into the first round of the draft and why he dropped. Because it was funny, like, this was probably the draft, which was supposedly not a good draft, but this was definitely the draft where I was like looking into most of the prospects just because the Heat were bounced so early and they were going to have a pick. And that was like the only knock on the guy. And I was like, well, he seems to make a lot of sense. And you looked at like the other guys like Klingon and Edie, and the Heat certainly needed to add some size. And this guy looked like he popped more than anybody else, but he had this rep that followed him. And I remember asking, I was talking to a scout about this, the same one that I talked to Jovic about. I was like, well, what do you think? Like, what do you think of Kel'el? And he goes, like, he landed in the perfect spot for him for like whatever questions there are. Some guys got to end up in the right situations. And he goes, this one is the perfect spot for him. He said, and Portis said something pretty goosies into that same type of thought process. He says, I like that he's with the Heat because obviously they'll instill the motor in him. He'll work and then he'll keep getting better. His upside is limitless. Wow. Bobby Portis, my God. Say more, dude. Like, what else you got on this? Wow. It then goes on, it writes it says, Ware had to do some things right along the way. He helped North Little Rock High soar to a 70-10 record. His last 3 years that he was there, they won 2 consecutive state championships. He averaged 20.3 points, 12 rebounds, and 5.7 block shots per game as a senior. By the way, Ware's unusual first name comes straight out of DC Comics universe. His parents, Tamika and Cedric Spate, liked the name Superman was born with, Kal-El, up to the fictional planet of Krypton. They tinkered with the spelling a little bit, and here we are. Ware asked about when he started to think about the NBA as a possibility. He told NBA.com, I'd probably say the 10th grade. That's when I first received offers from schools. Then goes into his background a little bit, talking about, you know, his journey from the Oregon to Indiana and Mike Woodson. And Woodson, you know, when we talked to him this summer, had said that his mother really got after him to be on his ass about work ethic and keeping after him and getting onto those second efforts. And I think that as you watch Kel'el, I think you see that in times. I don't think there's ever a time where I think Kel'el Ware is not trying hard. But I do think that you're seeing the gears turn up a little bit, and I think that's just rookie stuff. I really do think that the kid is going to be unbelievable. Especially, give me a guy who makes you jump out of your seat right now more than him and what he does on a night-to-night basis for the Miami Heat. It's so sick to watch him play basketball. Kevin Love said The best quality that he has away from the game is that he stays in the gym. It's part of the culture here. But every time that we're in the gym, he's there. He's putting in time in the weight room, on the floor with Malik Allen, with Bam, with myself. He's facing it head on. He said Kel'el was asked about the plan that he'd had for him. He says, I don't know what the plan was. It's basketball. I've been playing it my whole life and doing it my whole life of what I'm doing now. So I don't think I've surprised myself. Then goes on to his accolades. He said, Kevin Love said on him, we've been looking for ways to get him in the lane, testing people on offense. So I looked at some of his high school highlights, and I was like, how is he not picked higher? All the signs were there. He was shooting threes. He was getting out and dunking. He was blocking shots. He was defending, and he was rebounding. Kevin Love also says he absorbs things. He wants to be better. It's refreshing, to be honest. And at that age, being able to have guys like Zoe, UD, Bam, myself, it's a luxury, but it's another thing to actually take it and apply it. So definitely will be interesting to see this last 29 games that the Miami Heat have and see what Kel'el turns into. Definitely got to feel like the rest is going to do, because this is, as we saw with Jaime, as you see with the young guys, like that rest is necessary. It is to recharge your batteries, even if you haven't gotten a lot of minutes to start. It's still a lot of basketball that you're playing, the most basketball you played in your life. So I am very curious to see what Ware has on deck for the remainder of this season, because, man, he's a lot of fun to watch. And everybody on the court seems to look for him and know what the option that he can be as a lob threat. We've seen him get on some pretty crazy shooting stretches. It does look smooth. It's smooth. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't. I think that the kid has just... I think he has offensive polish. Like, he's just got that touch natural to him. There's going to be things they're trying to get, I think, instill in him, like the aggressiveness, some of the things that he works with Coach Allen with, catching hard rebounds and putbacks and working on all that stuff. That's like that second effort stuff. I think that he does such a good job of that. I mean, they'll do that and they'll specialize in that in a guy's warm-up routine, like to the point where, like, Nico, right? With Nico, they'll run him through every type of three that he's going to see, not just spot-up stuff. Like, they'll roll him through a whole set of, like, game ritual stuff. But even as simple stuff as, like, Nikola Jovic throwing down dunks. Like, I hadn't seen anybody in their routine be like, hey, we have to start off every sequence. We're starting off with you dunking the basketball, as if you have a head of steam and you're just going to put it down with force. Same thing with Kel'el, where it's like, hey, you're working on this. It's like, what's something we have to tinker? And, like, in the middle of the year, they tinker. We're going to throw, hard shots off the backboard. You're going to go work on putting them back for each game, because it's important to have those points and those places where you can make an impact. They just do a tremendous job of that when it comes to developing their guys. I'm sure other organizations do too. I'm just saying, like, as far as the Heat, how good they are at developing talent, and they do make a point of emphasis on those things that guys do need to get better at. Bobby Portis also said, it's always fun playing against younger talent where I'm from. These guys look up to me, and it's cool to go at them. Also cool to have two guys from Arkansas on the court together. There's a small percentage of people who get the chance to go on to the NBA. He's got a super bright future, a chance to make a lot of money. He's got to keep his head on straight, stay out of trouble, keep working hard. He's with an organization to keep him focused. But the biggest things are to stay confident and going out there and stacking good game after good game and see where you end up at. A lot of praise there from Bobby Portis, by the way, who, certainly has been in, like, Heat rumors before, and have thought of about, like, hey, he would have been a perfect fit next to Bam Adebayo, a guy with there's a possibility of, if this all kind of comes to a head and he's looking for a new place, I don't know what kind of money he'll be looking for in the offseason, because I think this is his last year, is it not? 25, 26. Next year's a player option for 13. And maybe he opts. I mean, if he opts out, he's going to be looking for what? Probably at least 15 and more years. So But in a couple of years, he's a free agent. He'll be 31 years old. It was interesting to note, like, Bobby Portis seems to tickle his fancy, this Heat organization. Certainly plenty of great playoff battles with Bobby Portis and what he's brought to the fold for that. But I thought a lot of that stuff was very, very interesting on Kel'el Ware with NBA. But the thing about him being limitless, I was like, ooh, that's good. Oh.